2, 1.
It's 5 o'clock.
Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
Are you ready for this? Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come on.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's Wednesday, October the 7th, 2015, and welcome to the BCS Experience. History, arts, culture, politics in review and discussion. I'm Byron C. Saunders, your host with the most. The BCS Experience takes a look at our rich history, African American history. We're going to share with you some known and unknown historical facts and information from the past and connect the dots on how they have impacted on our present day events and how they will definitely shape our future as African Americans in this country and around the world. The BCS Experience, history, arts, culture, politics in review and discussion. This is internet radio and will be aired live every Wednesday from 5 to 6 p.m. from the studios of the Iron Metropolis Images on the GoPro Radio Network. You see, I'm really excited about this opportunity to talk to you all across the country and around the globe. I want you to tune in every week on your computer or your phone. I want you to become a loyal listener, and I personally invite you to lend your voices to this radio talk show to express your opinions on my weekly topics. This is social network radio at its finest. Now, here's the number for you to call in to be a part of the discussion. Call 347-884-9837. Once again, that number to call is 347-884-9839. All right, this week's topic, oh my goodness, justice or else. The 20th anniversary of the Million Man March on Washington, D.C. Saturday, October the 10th, 2015, a call for nationhood and solidarity where, yes, hashtag Black Lives Matter. All right. I mean, this is an important revisit 20 years later. Were you there the first time? I was. It was momentous. But before we meet tonight's featured call-in guest, a little bit of history to put it all into context. We're going to learn about some of the men who were responsible and who participated in that momentous first event. Hey, my show is the new Underground Railroad Express. Next stop is your neighborhood. All aboard to freedom and to freedom land. All right, getting started. Let's go back to the history, a moment in time. It's a Thursday. It's October the 7th, and it's 1897. You see, on this date, the registry remembers the birth of Elijah Muhammad in 1897. He was the leader of the black separatist religious movement known as the Nation of Islam in America. The Nation of Islam is sometimes known as the Black Muslims. Now, he was born Elijah Poole, the son of sharecroppers and former slaves from Sandersville, Georgia. Now, he moved to Detroit in 1923. There, around 1930, Elijah Muhammad became assistant minister to the founder of the sect, Wallace D. Fard, at Temple No. 1. Now, when Fard disappeared in 1934, Muhammad succeeded him as head of the movement with the title Minister of Islam. Because of dissension within the Detroit Temple, he moved to Chicago, where he established Temple Number 2 during World War II. He advised followers to avoid the draft, and he was subsequently charged with violating the Selective Service Act and was jailed 1942 to 46. Muhammad slowly built up the membership of the black Muslims through assiduous recruitment in the post-war decades. His program called for the establishment of a separate nation for black Americans and the adoption of a religion based on the worship of Allah and on the belief that blacks are his chosen people. Muhammad became known especially for his flamboyant rhetoric directed at white people, whom he called blue-eyed devils. And in his later years, however, he moderated his anti-white tone and stressed self-help among blacks rather than confrontation between the races. Because of Muhammad's separatist views, his most prominent disciple, Malcolm X, broke with the group. Now, before his assassination in 1965, Malcolm X helped to lend an identity to the group once known as the American Muslim Mission and now part of the worldwide Orthodox Muslim community. That split from the Nation of Islam after Muhammad's death on February 25th, 1975 in Chicago. Another group retaining both the name and the founding principles of Elijah Muhammad's original Nation of Islam was established under the leadership of Minister Louis Farrakhan. Wow, important piece of history. I've been to Sandersville, Georgia, where Elijah Muhammad, but also known as Elijah Poole, was born. It's a special, significant, and a holy place. Very few people know this. But hey, that's what we're about here. I'm helping you to connect the dots. It's important to know the truth of who the Nation of Islam really is and why the 20th anniversary of this upcoming march, this coming Saturday, October the 10th, is so important. It is really important in regards to nation building, solidarity, respect for us, and it's our men who are standing up, African American men standing up and being accountable for all that is going on in our community. We're here to protect and serve our nation, our people. Anyway, I want to hear from you. Let's connect the dots and make sense out of it all. Let's talk. Call me. 347-884-9839. Once again, that number to call is 347-884-9839. Well, tonight, I have a very special host that's joining us and joining me in the GoPro studio. I'm all the way up here in Manhattan in Washington Heights, and calling me from Atlanta, Georgia, is Minister Sharif Muhammad. Now, I know in the promo it identified as Minister Stephen Muhammad. Well, I spoke with Minister Stephen this afternoon, who said that even someone else would be calling in on his behalf, someone who is the regional director. So, on behalf of Minister Stephen Muhammad and the Nation of Islam, I want to give a warm welcome and in praise of the Most High God, Allah. Assalamu alaikum, my brother, Minister Sharif Muhammad. Welcome to the BCS Experience.
Wa alaikum salam, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to be on your show.
Absolutely, my brother. Now, you know, I started off my show. You're a first time calling in and listening to my show, but I connect the dots of the history of our ancestors and showing whose shoulders my featured call-in guests are standing on. You obviously are standing on some very powerful shoulders. As when I spoke to Minister Stephen Muhammad this afternoon, he said, Byron, don't worry. You're getting the best, someone who understands what's going on and has information that's right up to the minute about this coming Saturday's 20th anniversary celebration of the original Million Man March. And this year, as we know, it's about justice or else. So, Minister Sharif, talk to me. Tell me what's going on with respect to this weekend and what can we anticipate?
Well, we would like for everybody to meet us in Washington, D.C. at the National Mall. The program starts at 10 o'clock, Don Baloo Farrakhan comes on at 1 o'clock, God's willing. But he's going to be delivering a divine message to us all. So we're asking all brothers, sisters, and their children to come and let's show solidarity. Just like you were saying at the beginning, solidarity for the whole family. Everybody is inclusive. The Native Americans, the Mexicans. You name it, you are invited. The Honorable Farrakhan want to unite all of us together and make one demand from all of us to this government. Justice, all else. So that's what you expect this weekend, a divine message from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and a warning.
Amen. Now, Minister Sharif, you are regional
Yes, sir.
director of this program that's coming up Saturday. Tell us who you are and what part of this do you represent with the Nation of Islam?
I'm the Honorable Louis Farrakhan Southern representative. I'm over Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia. I represent mosque. I'm over the mosque in Atlanta, Georgia, mosque number 15.
Yes.
And that's how I represent Honorable Louis Farrakhan.
Amen. And ultimately, your responsibility is marshaling and gathering the forces, the buses that I understand. When do the buses, and are there still seats on the buses out of Atlanta and the regional areas? And how do people get information to get on the bus to come to Washington?
Yes, well, the buses now, we have filled the buses up that we have, and now we're turning the buses, the people over to other buses that have not filled their buses up. But right now, throughout the whole South, the buses are filled. I got calls this morning that people now, they're trying to get extra buses. But, you know, we're last minute, and that's how we are. But if you wanted to get on the bus and you wanted to get the contact, you can contact Atlanta, Justice, us.
And is there a phone number? And is it justicerus.com, or is there a phone number as well?
Yes, the number, the 800 number will be 800-590-5035. 800-590-5035.
Excellent.
You can get all the information you want to. If you call that number, you can find out about the LOCs up and down this southern region, and you can get all the information you want to know about the march.
Now, I got to ask you this, Minister Sharif Muhammad. As you know, there's almost been a news blackout about this important event. And I remember and I recall, because like I said, I was at the last Million Man March. And I got to tell you, I left New York riding down 95, stopping at the Howard Johnson's or whatever it is along the way. And you can't imagine the number of brothers who were there. I mean, it was almost like the entire freeway was filled up with people coming to Washington, D.C., and it was the talk of the moment. Now, what's going on, Minister Sharif? Because you know, as I know, they're blacking out some of this news. We got to get our people to know about what's happening.
That's right. We got to do it because you were right. They're trying to block it out with the main media. But right now, we got people on the road. I got a call about 15 minutes ago from Washington, D.C. People are already coming in to Washington.
Yes.
But I'm telling you, up and down the highway, if you thought it was that way in 95, you wait till you see it this all down the highway. People getting vans. I mean, on the plane, they're on the buses. They drive in cars. I mean, some person driving from Chicago, riding from Chicago on a bicycle. They got a bicycle. And we got the motorcycles. We got the motorcycles coming all the way from the western region.
Excellent. And that's what we need. That's what we need.
They're expecting 100,000 motorcycles.
Wow.
They're picking them up as they come from Los Angeles. They're picking them up on the way. They're coming through Atlanta, and they're going on in. But they're expecting 100,000 motorcycles.
My goodness. Now, I was at the
organized this for quite some time.
I was at the March on Washington. I was 13 years old when that happened. I was a little boy, and my parents were involved, and I had relatives that come all across the country. I was at the Poor People's Campaign. Like I said, I was at the Million Man March. You know, it's important, my folks, my people, y'all got to understand this. This is the time is right now. It's not tomorrow.
That's right.
You get involved
now.
Right now. And if you can't be there, guess what? You can turn on your television. You can turn on your radio. You can listen in by someone who's got a cell phone. Listen in, because I'm telling you, this is important. We're not going to get many more opportunities to straighten out what's wrong in our country, especially for us. So this is an important aspect of what we do. Minister Sharif Muhammad, I got to take a break here at quarter after and
Yes,
at
sir.
the half hour. But when we come back, I got more callers on the phone, and I got more history of some of the men who were important to the first march. We got to know who our history is and what shoulders you, my brother, are standing on. You're listening to the BCS
That's right.
Experience
That's right.
on the GoPro Radio Network. I'll be right back after these very important words.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
We are an amazing people, rooted in Africa, the cradle of human civilization. Descendant of the awesome men and women who made a way out of no way. People steeped in the values of truth, justice, respect, harmony, balance, reciprocity, and order. But 400 years of enslavement, Jim Crow, and racism, fueled by the lie of black inferiority, have taken their toll. The result? Too much pain, too much hurt, too much loss. We owe our ancestors, ourselves, and our children so much more than this. Join the movement for emotional emancipation, healing, and wellness for Black people. Go to communityhealingnet.org and take the pledge to defy the lie and embrace the truth. That's communityhealingnet.org. Our children and our ancestors are waiting.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
All right, already we're back on the BCS Experience. Hey, I'm Byron C. Saunders, your host with the most. Today, we are talking about justice or else. This is about the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March on Washington, D.C. It's happening this coming Saturday, October the 10th, 2015. It's a call, my people, for nationhood and solidarity, where guess what? Yes, sir. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. And on the phone with me, I have the Southern Regional Director, Minister Sharif Muhammad, who is in instead of my originally featured call-in guest, Minister Stephen Muhammad, who I spoke to, and he wishes you all well. But he said, Byron, you got the man who understands and has information about all of it. And we welcome back my brother, Minister Sharif Muhammad. Thank you for staying on with us, my brother minister. And we even have another caller on the phone, Minister Sharif. So let's bring that caller in and ask who they are and joining us in this conversation. Welcome to the BCS Experience. Who are you? Hello, you're on. Who are you? Okay. It's okay to just listen. You don't want to talk yet? We still hold on the line. All right. Minister Sharif.
10, 50. Yes, sir.
There you go. Leaving Atlanta as a caravan. What time are the buses leaving?
Well, we're leaving at 6 o'clock sharp. We got all of us. We're meeting at Reverend McDonald Church, Iconia Baptist Church.
Yes.
That's the convener. Along with me for March, we had all the buses meeting at Reverend McDonald Church, and we're leaving at 6 o'clock, and we're having a rally at the church to send the buses off.
Amen.
And we're having they having snacks and everything on the bus, so people gonna have a good time and an enjoyable time, God willing.
Amen. And you know what? I think it's also important because guess what? Those buses, when they leave as a caravan, and you want to get to Washington, and you're ready to drive in your car, it's okay to follow the buses. I'm telling you,
That's
get
right.
on the road. No matter what it takes. Let me tell you, when I was at the March on Washington as a young boy in 1963, I saw people coming in by bicycle, roller skates. I saw mule trains. I saw people walking in caravans. They skated in. It didn't matter. They were walking in and skating in and coming in to Washington, D.C. It's going to be the same thing. My people, we need
That's right.
to be a witness to the history. If you're not going to be a witness, you're not going to know what happens, because guess what? They're not going to tell you a lot about it. They're going to tell you it was a little about maybe 500 people showed up. No, we know better,
Right.
because at the last march, there was at least almost 1.5 to 2 million people who came to Washington,
That's
D.C.
right.
I was there.
Exactly
I
right.
saw it with my own two eyes, and I experienced it. Now, I'm talking about an opportunity, my people, to understand how we're going to overcome, why we're going to overcome. Many people have said marches don't work. Don't you believe that? Don't you believe it? Because when you look back at the rich history of African Americans in this country, you'll begin to realize Minister Sharif Muhammad is standing on some powerful shoulders of men who took a stand. He didn't get to be the Southern Regional Director by being a pansy. He is an important brother, and respect him. Respect the people that he's brought around with him. He is also a spokesperson for the Minister Louis Farrakhan. So he's not just an anybody. These are talking about how you asking us in our community for the men to stand up. We're standing up. That's how it's done, isn't that right, brother Sharif?
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Unified.
I got another piece of history, because I'm trying to let our people know that first march about Minister Louis Farrakhan, who put together the first march. Understand that he stood on shoulders. He was also a brotherhood of the Nation of Islam. And we're going to talk about the next brother. You cannot mention the Nation of Islam without talking about this brother, the date. It's a historic moment. It is May the 19th. That's right, you know it. The date is 1925. You see, this date marks the birthday of Malcolm X in 1925. He was an African-American activist leader who articulated concepts of race, pride, and black nationalism in the early 1960s. Malcolm Little, his name at birth, El Haj Malik Shabazz, his Muslim name, was from Omaha, Nebraska. Growing up in Lansing, Michigan, Malcolm saw his house burned down at the hands of the white supremacist Ku Klux Klan. 2 years later, his father was murdered, and Malcolm's mother was placed in a mental institution. Malcolm spent the following years in detention homes, and in his early teens, he moved to Boston to live with his sister. Well, in 1946, while in prison for burglary, he was converted to the Nation of Islam. This sect professed the superiority of black people and the inherent evil of whites. Now, released from prison in 1952, Malcolm went to Nation of Islam headquarters in Chicago, met the sect's leader, Elijah Muhammad, and embraced its religious and rigorous asceticism. He changed his name to X, a custom among Nation of Islam followers who considered their family names to have originated with white slave holders. Malcolm X was sent on speaking tours around the country and soon became the most effective speaker and organizer for the Nation of Islam. He founded many new mosques and greatly increased the movement's membership. And in 1961, he founded Muhammad Speaks, the official publication of the movement. Now, he was eventually assigned as minister of the important Mosque Number 7 in New York City's Harlem area. Now, speaking with bitter eloquence against the white exploitation of black people, Malcolm developed a brilliant platform style, which soon won him a large and dedicated following. He derided the civil rights movement and rejected both integration and racial equality, calling instead for black separatism, black pride, and black self-dependence. He advocated violence for self-protection and appeared to many to be a fanatic. But we know better. Many civil rights leaders at the time rejected this style of leadership. Malcolm X described the assassination of President John F. Kennedy as a case of chickens coming home to roost, an example of the kind of violence that whites had long used against blacks. Malcolm's success had by this time aroused jealousy within the black Muslim hierarchy, and in response to his comments on the Kennedy assassination, Elijah Muhammad suspended Malcolm from the movement, and in March 1964, Malcolm X left the Nation of Islam, announced the formation of his own religious organization. Well, as a result of a pilgrimage he took to Mecca in April of 1964, he modified his views of black separatism, declaring that he no longer believed whites to be innately evil and acknowledging his vision of the possibility of world brotherhood. In October 1964, he reaffirmed his conversion to Orthodox Islam. Growing hostility between Malcolm's followers and the rival black Muslims manifested itself in violence and threats against his life. He was shot to death at a rally of his followers at a Harlem ballroom on February 21st, 1965. 3 black Muslims were convicted of the murder, but after his assassination, the widespread distribution of his life story, the autobiography of Malcolm X, 1965, made him an ideological hero, especially among black youth. Wow. It's a story, folks, that you just can't cherry pick the Nation of Islam where they are today. You got to know the root, people. It's like knowing the root to Marcus Garvey or knowing the root to the SCLC and Martin Luther King. You just can't cherry pick the history. You got to understand the history. And Brother Sharif Muhammad, that's your story. That's the story you're leading. You're walking in the shadow and walking amongst the heroes and sheroes who have given us and taking us to this place, this very moment of today. So once again, Brother Sharif Muhammad, talk to me about the agenda for Saturday. I know you know some of it. Let's tell the people what they can expect while they're there, while the men are convening on Most High to talk about how we're going to continue to manifest and make sure justice or else. So talk to me.
So the program, like I said, we'll start early morning. We're going to start early morning with prayer. Everybody's welcome to come. We're going to have an early morning prayer. Then the program starts immediately at 10 o'clock, correct? The main program. And then we'll have some speakers. I don't know who they are yet. I haven't got that schedule yet. But we'll have some speakers, and they'll speak up to maybe 5 minutes to 1, because the minister's coming on at 1 o'clock sharp to deliver the keynote speech, the divine message. So for the program, that's all I would be able to tell you about that as of right now. But I know it's going to be a dynamic program, so you don't want to miss it.
Now, Minister Sharif, for those who cannot make the trip, where can we, who are out here in the hinterlands and all across the country who are really concerned, how do we tune in and where can we listen to what's going on at the mall in Washington, D.C.? Is there a central place that's going to be broadcasting for this march?
You can dial in the NOI.org, and you'll be able to pull it down and webcast it or stream it. And, CNN probably going to carry it live.
Right.
So you'll be able to turn on CNN and get it. But the main thing, if you can't get on CNN, you can get it on NOI.org, NOI.org, and pull it down and webcast it. But, you could always get good old CNN, carry blow by blow.
Excellent. So NOI.org, that's Nation of Islam. The N as in Nancy, OI.org. And it's going to be carried live, streaming. I'm telling you, people, you need to be there. You cannot afford not to know what and how the next step in our freedom, our move to freedom. It's all about us, people. We don't need to depend on Fox MSNBC,
Right.
CBS, ABC. They're not going to tell our story. Come on now, you know that. They're not telling it now. So don't depend on that. But you need to tune in. You need to understand what's being said. So I anticipate not just the million that's going to be there, but the millions that will be listening, because the message is going to be powerful. We've got to take a break here, Minister Sharif Muhammad, but when we come back, I got more history, because people need to know who Minister Louis Farrakhan is, and we're going to talk about his history next. All right.
All right.
You're listening to the BCS Experience on the GoPro Radio Network. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these very important messages.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
What if you can have an entire team of skilled professionals to help your business grow? Admin, accounts, marketing, and more, but only pay for the exact amount of support you need at virtually the same cost you'd pay for one full-time employee. With Virtual Professions, you can. One contact, one number gets you a team of virtual professionals for exactly what your business needs. It's 1-888-315-VPRO. That's 1-888-315-8776. Or online at www.virtualprofessions.net. Virtual Professions Incorporated, because you mean business.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
And Mel.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network.
All right, already. We're back on the BCS Experience. Hey, I'm Byron C. Saunders, your host with the most. I have Minister Sharif Muhammad on the line from the Nation of Islam. We're talking about the 20th anniversary, Justice or Else, of the Million Man March in Washington, D.C. It's happening this coming Saturday. Tomorrow, this week, you can get your bus's information. Get on the bus. Find out how to get to Washington, D.C. If you need transportation, we're going to tell you all about that. But in the meantime, let me just tell you why it's important to support and sustain GoPro Radio and the BCS Experience. We're listener-sponsored radio. We're a black-owned company. My people, you can't get the news like this anywhere else. We're breaking the silence that's deafening. I can imagine not knowing more about this march and all the participants and knowing the people who are making this all happen. But that's why we have Black Radio. That's why you have the GoPro Radio Network. And because of that, listener-sponsored means you help sustain us. Show us the love. Make a donation. It's really easy. You go to GoProRadio.com. And when you're ready to make that donation, hit the donation button. But guess what? We got premiums galore for your support. We've got the most important piece, Disappearing Voices, The Decline of Black Radio. You need to have this in your library. This is a well-produced documentary about black radio in America. Do you know it's because of black radio that the civil rights movement has been able to sustain itself just like it's doing right now? Because you can't get this information on the so-called major stations. Why? Because they're not interested in black culture or freedom. But we are. Get a copy of this. Go to our site. Find out how you can get your copy of this. We've got T-shirts. Oh my goodness. I look good in my T-shirt. I've got books waiting for you because once a month, my program, the BCS Experience, features Let's Talk You with Reverend Dr. D.L.C. Boyce, certified psychotherapist who is helping you get free advice on the telephone. Get her book, $15 donation. I got 10 copies of this autographed. Okay, autograph. You can't get this anywhere else. You can't get it at Amazon. You can't get it at Barnes & Noble. You can only get it at GoProRadio.com. All right? Make that donation. Show us some love so we can continue to show you the love. Thank you for your donations. I appreciate that. And when you make the donation, hit the button that says why and say, because I support the BCS experience. All right, Minister Sharif Muhammad, we're back. We're back on the line with the Southeast Regional Director for the Nation of Islam. He's the one who's responsible for getting all of the hundreds of thousands of people coming out of the South to go to Washington, D.C. for this very special 20th anniversary celebration. Minister Sharif, before I give this next piece of history, tell us and my listening audience once again, how do we get to Washington by way of your support mechanism? Minister Sharif, are you there? Is he still on? He's still connected? Okay. Well, that's okay. I'm going to give the history of someone very important. He's probably taking care of business. He's the regional director. But don't go away, Minister Sharif. Here's some history you need to know about some of the conveners. And this is an important date. But let's first introduce the person by way of this small video. Okay. Roll that tape.
I'm back when you're ready.
Roll the tape. We got a little piece of video to show, Minister Sharif. Roll the tape, Mel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if you want to help
Yeah.
and give me not the freedom to speak, because I'll take that regardless, but I want you to help me put on a day where it's bigger than the day, but it is about the day before, the day of, but most importantly, the day after. I'm going to put a program before Congress. I'll talk about that later on. It's a program to deliver us from the tyranny of our open enemy. I'm not begging nobody to back me in that. I already have the backing of God and his Christ. You will soon see. I'm not a madman, and I'm not crazy. Try me and see. So if you want to help me, a man that won't punk out on you, that can't be bought, the Jewish people that don't like me, you don't have a ladder tall enough to get you up to the heaven where my blessings come from. So you're going to have to sit on the sideline and watch. And if you make the mistake, I'm warning you and the government, if you make a mistake, thinking that you can do to me and us as you've done to others, I welcome you. Come on with it. And I'll show you the power of a God that will take you out and take your country from you and give it to whom he pleases. Go to justiceorelse.com and give $5, $10, $1, $20, $100. I'm going to report to you every nickel, every dime, every dollar will account for it. No thieves, no robbers here, just warriors for God and the liberation of our people. So if you want to help.
Yeah.
Wow. Minister Louis Farrakhan, brothers and sisters, he's for real.
Yes, sir.
He's not shucking and jiving. I'm telling you, you got to listen to and know who the real leaders are. Because I hear it all across the country, brother, Minister Sharif. You've been hearing it yourself.
Yes,
Where
sir.
are our black
Yes, sir.
leaders? Where are they? How come they're punking out? You know, we got white folks coming into our neighborhood with their own rifles, gonna being really they're just posses. Posses of white folks coming to our community to help the police marshal us. What is that craziness? Minister Sharif.
Yes, sir.
You tell us again. How do we get to Washington? Because I think people, when they don't hear that kind of message from a black leader who says, come with it. I'm here to stand with you. I'm going to protect you. I got a plan. You see, that's what they don't hear, Minister Sharif.
Yes, sir.
It's unfortunate because we listen to, hey, you know what tonight is? It's Wednesday, right? And you know what? 5 million people are going to be tuned into what? Empire. Come on, people.
Yes, sir.
Come on, people. That's not an empire. You want an empire? You need to talk about the things that we know as an empire, like the great, great civilizations out of Africa. Okay? The Nation of Islam is about building an empire. That's a real empire, people. Okay? So, Minister Sharif Muhammad, talk to me about
Yes, sir.
what's involved, because people need to know. They don't know, brother.
Well, the people need to know, especially in the Atlanta area. You can meet us at Reverend McDonald Church, Iconium Baptist Church, and we're going to leave at 6 o'clock, but we still have a few seats left on other buses ready to go. And internationally, you know, you can call justiceis.com and find out the information from around the country if you want to find out from your city who the local organizing committee is. But everybody, please, just like the Honorable Louis Farrakhan said just now, if you just pay $1, help finance our own revolution.
That's right.
We can't finance our own freedom with no money. We need help. So please, everybody, if you do it right now, pay $1, $5, $10, $20. And if you have more, pay that. Stop sitting on the sidelines. Just talk it.
That's right.
Help this great man with this movement. And this movement will help all of us. So come on, my people.
That's
Let's join together for the greatest march, if you want to call it a march, but it's a movement
That's right.
ever on the planet Earth.
Hey,
you don't want to miss it.
You don't
10,
want to
10,
miss it.
15.
That's right. Now, you know what else is important, Minister Sharif, is that
Yes, sir.
already, right now, Americans, African Americans, spending wealth in this country alone is $1.7 trillion annually. Annually. That money is like leaving our community faster than we can hold on to it. And if we just looked at 10% of that to help sustain and support the movements that are the civil rights movements,
Yep.
whether the Nation of Islam, SCLC, NAACP, it doesn't matter. 10%. 10% of that would help make us and our movement a lot closer to freedom and to freedom land. But it doesn't go in. Our money is not coming back to us. Okay? And what he said, but the minister is saying, you got to pay attention. And who is Louis Farrakhan? Who is Minister Louis Farrakhan? Well, those of you who don't know, because all you hear is from the main stage media, oh, he's this man of hate. No, stop right there. Because you don't know Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's a brilliant man. Did you know he is a classical violinist? It's all right. Y'all don't know him, okay? But he was born May the 11th in 1933. You see, he's an African-American religious leader in the Muslim community. Now, he's born in New York City. He was an outstanding student at Boston English High School and then attended Winston-Salem Teachers College. Farrakhan was an excellent musician. He played the violin and was a calypso singer. It was a singer that he earned, as a singer, that he earned his livelihood before converting to Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam in the 1950s. He quickly worked his way up to a leadership position, becoming the minister of the Boston Mosque. Now, he loudly denounced Malcolm X after the latter split with Elijah Muhammad in 1963, but he soon assumed leadership of the Harlem Mosque, which Malcolm had previously led. After Elijah Muhammad's death in 1975, he briefly supported Muhammad's son and designated successor Warith Muhammad as leader of the Nation of Islam. Shortly after Warith Muhammad began accepting whites as members within the Nation of Islam, now renamed the World Community of Al-Islam, in the West. Farrakhan split with him and established a rival organization with about 10,000 members. Now, Farrakhan's support for Jesse Jackson's presidential candidacy in 1984 quickly became an issue after Farrakhan made several controversial statements, most notably calling Judaism a gutter religion. And in 1997, in June, he wrote Jude Wanniski with a public correction of the New York Times article published on April the 5th, 2000. You see, overshadowed in the controversy was the involvement of Nation of Islam leaders in American electoral politics for the first time. Previously, black Muslims had generally followed Elijah Muhammad's counsel not to vote or to take part in political campaigns. Well, instead, Nation of Islam encouraged the following: the so-called Negro in America must elect his own political leaders and his own candidates. You see, in January 1995, Kubala Bahia Shabazz, daughter of slain black nationalist leader Malcolm X, was arrested and charged with trying to hire an FBI informant to kill Farrakhan, who some believe was involved in the 1965 assassination of her father. Well, Farrakhan publicly defended Shabazz, claiming that the charges were in an FBI attempt to entrap her. Doesn't that sound familiar? COINTELPRO, FBI trying to destroy the black civil rights movement. Well, on May 1st, 1995, Shabazz avoided a trial and possible prison sentence by accepting responsibility for the plot. The court ordered her to seek psychiatric counseling, enter a drug and alcohol treatment program, and to obtain a steady job. Well, on October the 16th, 1995, African American men from across the United States convened on Washington, D.C. for the Million Man March, which was organized by Farrakhan. Billed as a holy day of atonement and reconciliation, marchers were urged to make a commitment to improve themselves. I got to take a break here, Minister Sharif Muhammad, but when we come back, I'll finish up with the history on Minister Louis Farrakhan and then tell you about a couple of other men who held a position of responsibility for the first march. It's going to surprise you, folks. You need to know your history. We'll be right back after these very important words.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head. Why are you paying for radio? Are you serious? GoPro Radio offers content for free. Go to www.goproradio.com and listen to original, irreverent, and exceptional talk shows. It's free. Go to www.goproradio.com now. It's that simple and free. www.goproradio.com. Listen to the voices in your head. Oh, and did I mention it's free?
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.
All right, we're on the final segment of the BCS Experience. This has been all about the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March on Washington, this coming Saturday, October the 10th, 2015, on the Mall of Washington, D.C. Justice or else. Be there or be square. I got Minister Sharif Muhammad on the phone. He's the Southeastern Regional and director of the program, marshaling the forces from the southern states to come to Washington, D.C. And as I was sharing with you earlier about the history of Louis Farrakhan, you see, on that last march in 1995, it was billed as a holy day of atonement and reconciliation. Marchers were urged to make a commitment to improve themselves, their families, and their communities. Those who could not attend the march were urged to stay home from work and avoid spending money at businesses as a show of solidarity with the marchers. And guess what? We did. Farrakhan closed the march with a 2-hour speech in which he condemned the doctrine of white supremacy and claimed that there are still two Americas, one black and one white, separate and unequal. He also challenged the marchers to return home and work to make their communities safe and decent places to live. Now, Farrakhan embarked on a controversial 18-nation tour of Africa and the Middle East in early 1996, and during the tour, he visited Iran and Libya, nations that the United States government believes support international terrorism. His journey was designed to promote peace and reconciliation, yet Farrakhan was widely criticized by U.S. officials for several anti-American statements he made while overseas. And on the last day of February 2004, he was scheduled to hold a rally in Washington, D.C. in support of reparations. That's a word that has to keep coming up, Minister Sharif Muhammad. Reparations. That's what we need to keep hearing and keep reminding, because paying back for the 400 years of slavery, almost the destruction of the African American and his ancestry here in this country. It's not an accident, people. It's been going on for 400 years, okay? That's why this march is important, you see, and we must come together in solidarity. All right, last few minutes, Minister Sharif. Here's some names I'm going to throw at you that I know you know because they were part of the first one. Albert Al Sampson. Oh, my goodness. Born in 1938. Guess what? Brother Sampson, he was listed in Who's Who Among Black Americans and was one of the spokespersons for the first Million Man March in 1995. He served as a scholar consultant for the Black Heritage Bible. And I'm telling you, people, these are names that you need to know because they weren't part of the Nation of Islam. They were part of the village that supported it, the men who stood up. Here's another one. Maulana Karinga. You know him as the man who started the celebration of Kwanzaa. But did you know it was in 1989 that Karinga became chairman of the Africa Studies Department at California State University, Long Beach, and in 1995, he sat on the organizing committee and authored the mission statement for the Million Man March. That's right. The village stepped up. The men came out, and you don't even know this history because you can't get it in your schools. But here's another name that you need to know, and you know him because he's Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Well, guess what? Reverend Jeremiah Wright, in 1995, Wright was also asked to deliver a prayer during an afternoon session of speeches at the Million Man March in Washington, D.C. And one more person, because time is short. I wanted to give you the history, but I can't get it all in an hour show. But here's another man that stood up and was a part of it all. You bet, also known as Haki R. Matabuti. Yes, he's the editor and most recently of Million Man March / Day of Absence, a commemorative anthology that he put together in 1996. So you see, Minister Sharif Muhammad, you stand on some very powerful shoulders of some brothers who stood up, stood on point, like you're doing. So I want you to tell us, before we walk out of here, I got about 7 or 8 minutes. I'm going to let you have the last couple of 3 minutes here before I give my closing. Brother Sharif Muhammad, salam alaikum, my brother. Thank you for being there. Thank you for standing up. Give us some last words of advice and counsel about Saturday and why you need to be there.
I'm going to say, well, first of all, I'd like to thank you again for allowing me the opportunity to be on your radio show. And I want to say to all that is listening, let's keep supporting my brother's radio show. We must support our own. And everything that he has, I know he mentioned he had things to say. Let's support our brother so he can stay independent and be able to speak free like he's doing. Now, 10/10/15 this coming Saturday. Please, everybody that is listening, let's try to be there in Washington. Let's do something that our open enemies think that cannot be done. And they think that we would never come together. But that's a lie, because the God of this universe has already said that we will come together. The bottom rail will come to the top. The last shall be first. You don't want to miss a divine message that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is going to bring to us this Saturday at 1 o'clock on the national capital. So you get on the bus, get on a plane, get on a train, a car, whatever means, you should be there. By the grace of God, the scripture says in the gospel singing, say, yeah, I want to be in that number when the saints go marching in. So we all should try to be in that number. So may God Allah bless us all with the light of understanding that we will come and hear his servant at this time that's calling all of us to come together for justice our ever.
Amen.
We love you, family. Thank you, my brother.
God bless you, my brothers, and a safe journey. Safe journey.
Yes.
And remember, folks, you want to listen to it online? NOI.org. N as in Nancy, O as in orange, I as in inevitable. NOI.org, and you can hear it all. It's going to be live streaming. You don't want to miss a minute of this, my people. And Brother Sharif Muhammad, thank you for being a leader. Thank you for standing tall as an African-American man. We need you. We support you, and we support Minister Louis Farrakhan and his mission, as well as the Nation of Islam. All right, folks. All right. Yes, so much. God bless. All right. The Million Man March, here's what I call my blog news snap, was a mass gathering held in Washington, D.C. on October 16th, 1995. Well, under the leadership of Nation of Islam head Louis Farrakhan, black men from across the United States converged on Washington in an effort to convey to the world a vastly different picture of the black male, and to unite in self-help and self-defense against economic and social ills plaguing the African American community. Well, guess what? It was on that date, on that ground, that in 1995, that we observed the National African American Parent Involvement Day, NAAPID. It's inspired by the National Million Man March. It was created to encourage parents, African American parents, to begin practicing the goals they are: promote African American parent involvement in their child's education, promote and provide strategies for African American parents and students to take full advantage of the educational process at the levels of the educational system, preschool through post-secondary. Also to identify and develop partnership efforts between all sectors of the community, business, school, home, etc. Also to create a national network on the state and local levels to achieve the mission and goals of the National African American Parent Involvement Day. Also to develop fundraising strategies. That's right. We need the money and put them into effect to finance the endeavors of this organization and offer educational workshops, seminars, and institutes relating to parental involvement and eliminating the achievement gap. And finally, establish an annual National African American Parent Involvement Day celebration on the second Monday in February. See, we did have an organization. We did have an agenda, and it is a follow-up from the original Million Man March. Have we continued the legacy of what this march offered us, or have we forgotten the struggles to get where we are today? All right, my friends, BCS Experience is GoProRadio.com, your social networks live talk show radio, produced and sponsored by Iron Metropolis Images. Tylon Xavier Washington, producer. Mel Alsap, my engineer. A special thank you to the Jazz Lounge Project and Andrew Julian Myers and Mike Sargent for my fabulous show's theme music. Hey, tune in next Wednesday when my show, the BCS Experience, will be on from 5 to 6 p.m. Now, you got new lineups, new shows for the GoPro Radio Network. You got the roll-up. You've got the spotlight on with Earl Morgan on Monday. You have Cult of Dusty. You have Face the Facts. You have Prince Solomon Carter Amp and Soulful House Collage. Oh, my goodness. Stay here on the GoPro Radio Network. You see, I'm Byron C. Saunders, and it's been all about the BCS Experience. Join me next Wednesday when my very special guest will be you, my listening audience, with another opportunity to approach and appreciate our rich cultural history and learn how it impacts on our lives today. Until then, I'm out of here. For the moment, peace and love.
10 seconds.
Always.
You're listening to content developed by the GoPro Radio Network, the fastest growing network in the galaxy. GoPro Radio Network. Listen to the voices in your head.